Hey guys. Um, if you noticed, uh, originally it said Saturday hang up. I just realized that a few minutes ago and changed it to hang out. That's how tired I am. I am now appropriately caffeinated, hopefully. So we'll see how it goes. Um, Again, hang out. We're just gonna sit here and chat. No preconceived notions here. Again, still kind of on again, sort of a hiatus. Got to rest, get into a better zone kind of a thing. Trying to make some changes in general in life, right? I'm going to be doing some new things here on Facebook and all that. Um, and sort of what we're doing with questions everything. Going to be doing more prophecy stuff, prophecy oriented things, more cultural things. So just been making changes. You know how it goes. And I think that's basically it. Honestly, just kind of tired. Life's been crazy. My daughter's surgery is on the first. It's a appendectomy. It's perfectly fine. They do it all laparoscopically now. Um, so yeah, just busy with a lot of stuff. Hopefully things will kind of even out here in a little bit. Um, but yeah, this stuff takes up a lot of time, right? It just does. And particularly with like the Bible study, I don't want to just bring you something someone else has said, right? If there is someone who said something that inspires me to look into something, I try and mention it, but I try to make certain that I'm bringing y'all legitimate stuff, not just, you know, something necessarily that's just that I haven't thought about. Because even once you've thought about something, you a couple of times, you can always find new things, but I don't want to bring you just that first pass stuff. I think there's more, I have a little more responsibility than that. So hey, Bet Mom and Gene Hudson, glad to see y'all here live. And again, if you're watching this on replay, it's perfectly cool, right? That's why it's recorded. But yeah, so we're doing some fun things. I couldn't get any sleep last night. Like I said, I'm allergies are the worst. Like Texas is never more beautiful than right now, but it's also trying to murder you with allergens. It just is. Oh my gosh. Um, Although it's better than when I lived in Nacogdoches for college, and then while my wife was finishing up. In the spring, your everything would be coated in yellow, like it had snowed from all the pollen, like from all the cedar pollen. It was yellow. I don't mean like there was a light. I mean yellow, like it had been like it was yellow snow that had fallen. so so apparently upper Michigan too. Well, I imagine places like Michigan would, because you have all the trees. Like we don't have we don't really have all that much trees, in the way of foliage. I mean, we actually do. It's North Texas is more green than what most people will expect, right? But the thing about the summer or the spring and very early summers, it's very wet, very very wet. So everything here, right, just blows up. Like you've seen those films with like the African savanna where just everything is covered in flowers. That's Texas. We are a prairie. North Texas is literally the base of what's called the Great American Prairie or the Great American Plains, and so we're at the base of it. So we kind of get the best of both, or all of the both worlds. We basically get all of these prairie, plains types of grasses and plants, but then there's also, because of the Trinity River and its tributaries, and because of the rain that we do get, we've got a bunch of trees, right? Particularly cedars and the really really big trees, that are like 75 feet tall and all that. They're right there. They hug the creeks, but then you get the smaller brushes and your mesquites just away from that. So we kind of get all of it. So come springtime, I'm addicted to sinus medications. Gene, I've heard this. Here's the thing. The local raw honey thing. Mm-mm. Because here's the problem. I used to not have allergies. I really did. It was um, there was a around 18 when I was around 18, so like 1997, 1998. All of North Mexico caught on fire. I'm not kidding when I say that. And it caught all the garbage and I mean just everything. It was a huge wildfire. And it came all the way to Dallas. And they called it smaze because there was all this smoke blowing up from Mexico, and there was a lot of humidity at the time, and so the humidity actually trapped the smoke. After that, my allergies have gone. There's just nothing I can do. Um, Even my allergy meds just don't do much of anything. So it is what it is. I'm trying to think. Yeah, like I said, a lot of what I'm trying to do is I'm with the changes we're trying to make, right? Um, is it's with like not this channel. This channel is going to be what it is, right? This is a Bible study. That's what it's supposed to be. It's what I want it to be. I've always said I don't want to share it out. In fact, I'm probably going to get rid of the YouTube page or not the YouTube, the Facebook page here because I don't use it and I don't want to promote it. I like that it's small. Right? I like that it's y'all. And when it stops being y'all, I'll shut it down. But like with questions, everything, it's got its own channel. I want it to be a very different thing. Get out there, do more things, and really try to make impactful material for people's lives to get healthy, to be more involved, right? To live their lives out in the world and not just be more entertainment, right? And again, a lot of this is also going with the supplements that I'm taking. Like they've got some of these new products out there and it's like a headset system. My wife's already gotten some amazing results with it. I'm getting ready to start it, and I want to actually help people and not just be entertainment. So that's what a lot of what I've been doing and trying to figure out. And of course, got a job, right? We got those things going. 3 kids, so just tired and kind of needed a bit of a break. In fact, I'm probably going to start instituting like a multi-week break from all the shows, like once every couple months, like boom, 2-3 weeks, everyone's off, right? Because you gotta live a life, right? You gotta take that stress off. So Jean says she only had allergies when trees budded and then in 2020 her allergies went crazy and allergic to everything. Yeah. See, so here's the thing about allergens, right? You can develop an allergy later in life. There's a lot of people who think that like all the peanut allergies that have sort of blossomed is because peanut is in everything. Because of it, because it's in its universal use. This is why we see the peanut allergy on the rise, and it's even epigenetics. It's not just your exposure; it's the uterus's or it's the fetus's exposure while you're eating, while you're pregnant, but then also your epigenetics. Essentially, your body's like, "Hey, this is what's going on," and it gets passed on to the kids. It's nuts. So yeah, allergens are something you can develop. Like that's the weirdest thing to me, that you can just be perfectly fine with something, then all of a sudden everybody's like, you know what? Not today. And then just decides to no longer be okay with that thing, be it a pollen or a food or whatever. I do wonder why we're allergic to like foods and pollen and not some like things that could kill us, right? Like, hey, I'm having an allergic reaction to this. This must mean cyanide is nearby, right? I don't know. I don't know. Nobody asked me, I suppose. But also I'm learning KindMaster. It's the product, it's the system Tex uses for his for all of his the videos that he makes, and so I figured if Tex could do it, I could do it, and is proving not to be the case. The problem is I just had to learn. I had, he was actually, like I said, I couldn't sleep last night, or this morning particularly, and so he helped walk me through some stuff. I think I can make it work. It's the thing about KindMaster is I would probably be better at it if I could put it on my laptop. But right now, it's only for your phone. Like, it's designed for like social media stuff, right? So I'm definitely going to keep it for that. And because I need to start doing more on social media. So I'm going to keep it for that. And there's some other things that it does I'm actually sort of a big fan of. So I'm going to learn how to do it, but I'm going to be doing it a lot with like sirupapers. I am going to go back and do those, but I think what I'm going to do is make sirupapers I have a list of things I want to say very specifically on the topics of the paranormal, ufology, cryptozoology, flat earth and flood, right? That's Siru. I want to get that done. I want to put that out. And the 2017 alignment in Revelation 12, which is the same thing. I want to put that out and just get it done. And boom, it's there. It's sort of like a museum. And the website, just has the videos there, and that's what it is for now. But as far as the prophecy work, a lot of like prophetic messages and stuff, I'm going to put that on Questions Everything. And, I want that to be the more topical, right? Whereas Siru is just, here's the stuff, right? This is the stuff you need to know. Here's the perspective. Here's why. So maybe a video every couple months, right? But edit it, put all the documentation in it, really give the people what they need for references and all of that. So, like I said, a lot of changes, right? Learning how to do things, and like Canva. Okay, Canva is a great program. It's really easy to use. I just wish it didn't have the limitations. Like, I wouldn't have done KindMaster if Canva could handle larger files. That's my problem with Canva. And so I could probably do Siru with Canva. Because it's going to be more visual anyway, than less me just talking at the camera. So I'm going to be probably doing a lot more with that. I'm having to learn all these new things that I'm really not a big fan, or I'm not really used to and doing. So that's why we're here, why we're doing what we're doing. So other than that, that's my update. Nothing beyond that. Just, living the normal life. Just things got busy. Other good news, I haven't talked to him since it happened, but they just Legend Meets Science 2, they met the crowdfunding requirement for it, so that's going to go through. So that's good news. That's going to be fun. I have no idea if I'll have anything to do with it, but it'll be fun. Because I'm working on a side project that I kind of have to keep things on the DL. I'm working on another side project that's in that direction. I'll just say that. So that's also been eating up some of my time, as that kind of stuff. So, busy, but hoping to have things to show for it in the near future. So, yeah, that's it. That's officially all of the updates. Although, like I said, Facebook, I'm going to start doing more. I've got a garden. Things are actually starting to grow. Like, it's big, but it's not like huge, right? But things are actually starting to grow. And so that's fun. Again, just trying, learning how to, reschedule my, retime myself, when to sleep, when to wake up, so I can do more exercises and get things revolved. Like, so one of the things I'm going to really be talking about in the next couple of weeks is and I'm trying to figure out how to present it, right? But people say mind, body, spirit, right, all the time. Um, I think that's backwards, right? Our entire culture has been sort of. Oh, real quick, Gene says I think most food allergies are the crap they put in to preserve it. I would not disagree at all. In fact, I have like the carnivore diet, which I'm a fan of. Like I get it. I just can't do it. I need the greenery. But I have a sneaking suspicion the reason it's so beneficial for so many people is because of glyphosate poisoning. Glyphosate's is the stuff they put on. It's basically Roundup, is what it is, the weed killer. But I would not be surprised if the entire reason the carnivore diet has the bigger, or the reason it has such a monumental health benefit for so many people is glyphosate poisoning, just straight up. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's also part of the rise of autism is glyphosate poisoning, because when you look at some of the symptoms of glyphosate poisoning, it's not that there's some weird overlap. And I'm not saying that is what it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone who knew what they were talking about came out and said, this is what's happening. This is what it is, right? And I think also in a way it's like when people go vegetarian or even vegan, like vegan is like the worst thing you can do, because over time, because you're not getting your body what it needs. But the reason there's such a immediate benefit on all that is honestly processed foods. Back to Gene's point about the crap that they put into preserved foods. I think the reason when people go either vegetarian or vegan and there's that immediate benefit, it's because that crap is gone, because they're having to eat things are at least closer to something that's actual food. Again, long term, veganism is not a solution for, again, unless if you have an illness, an inability to eat, like that's one thing. But people who just choose it's not as beneficial as a lot of people seem to think it is. You need both, right? We are omnivores. That's my thing about the carnivore diet. I'm sympathetic to it. We are omnivores. We are designed to eat everything. I think we should eat vegetables, vegetation we should eat, but we got to put things in proper proportions, and we got to get rid of the processed food. That's the stuff that's killing us. Where was I going before that? I completely forgot what I was talking about. That's terrible. This is how tired I am. Well, hold on. I was talking about Siru. Oh, mind, body, spirit. That's what it is. Everyone talks about mind, body, spirit, and I am convinced more than ever that is backwards. We should actually go spirit, body, mind. I think the mind needs to be on the bottom end. And give me a second on this. We have so much in our culture is supposed to be dedicated to mental health, and yet we have the worst mental health of any generation in human history. Not a coincidence. Here's what I mean. Now, in reality, there's a lot of overlap between our mind and our actual spirit, our soul. There's a lot where that overlaps. So let me be very precise with my meaning here. We have to get our theology right first, right? Our theology and our spiritual lives, the things that we are doing. And I do think that means traditions and ceremony. That does need to be there, because we are all one thing, even though we are mind, body, and spirit. Yes, this is true. But we are one thing, and they all overlap. They all are interconnected. You can't. So there does need to be ritual. There does need to be ceremony. There needs to be theology, your understanding of the universe. Because I think what's causing a lot of this mental distress is people have a very incorrect view of the universe. That's what's leading, and therefore also of reality. And that's what's leading to the mental health issues. Get your spirit right first. That's your theology. That's your worldview. Then get your body right. You're eating the right things, that you are exercising appropriately, that you're getting your body what it needs to be healthy. Because so much of this, in the last 20 years, we've discovered that gut flora, right? The microbiome within your body, that has more effect on how you just perceive the world than you realize. I would argue so much of depression and anxiety is just a byproduct of the crap, again, to Gene's point, of the crap they're putting in our foods. It's just our microbiomes are out of whack, our endocrine system's out of whack. And so because our theology isn't right, because our bodies aren't right, we have these other mental issues. And the problem is we're trying to treat depression and anxiety and a lot of these other things that are actually symptoms of the fact that our theology and our bodies are wrong. They're not being done correctly. And we're trying to treat that as a mental issue. That doesn't mean there aren't mental issues. There are. But how can you address something that is a mental issue if the first two aren't properly aligned? It's like trying to fix, it's like you've got a problem. Again, you've got a problem with the cart and you're trying to fix the horse, right? I think we got it all backwards. And I think that's what's hurting a lot of people, is that we have it backwards. Get your theology right, your worldview right, put your body in the best possible health it can be. A lot of those things are going to clear out, and then you can actually address genuine emotional trauma, genuine mental and psychological issues. Like, those are things that can be addressed. The problem is we're trying to treat what are essentially physical or spiritual ailments with psychology. That's the wrong tool. And I don't think it's necessarily, again, I don't want to jump to conspiratorial conclusions for everything, because I think people can just be wrong without an ulterior motive. But if someone were to say, hey, Jason, do you think, I've got this, here's this tape of people talking and they wanted it to be this way, I wouldn't be surprised. Right? I would not be surprised at all if that was, if someone somewhere there was a conversation like, hey, if we focus it this way, it'll screw up everybody. And that will allow us to do what we need to do. I wouldn't be surprised in the least. Do I think it's what happened? Probably not. I think some things are just, Satan definitely, Satan knows what he's doing. But on the human level, I think people just have bad ideas, and bad ideas become fashionable. Right? Again, sin, Satan, obviously. I'm just saying on the human level, I don't think people necessarily planned it out. I think just it's one of those things that happens when you just have bad ideas. And unfortunately, the more advanced technologically a society tends to be, the more bad ideas it seems to get, because it's separated from reality. Again, this goes back to theology and worldview. As soon as you think that that your worldview can trump reality, you've already set yourself up for failure. So that's something I'm working on, and I will unveil it when I feel like it's more close to being correct. I've got enough ducks in a row to make a presentation on it sort of publicly. Again, I'm not a health expert but I'm on my own journey, and it's like, hey, maybe this will help other people. So, we live in a society that's sick physically and emotionally, and definitely psychologically. And so I think there's probably a lot of people, even if things are kind of okay, there's a lot of people who are kind of in a similar situation to me. We're like, things could be maybe a little bit better. How do I make them better? So, other than that, I want to hear what's going on with y'all. What have y'all been up to? Is there anything going on that you would like to talk about? News, events, questions, things like that. So That's my update as far as things go. I am going to be doing, like I said, I'm going to be doing more prophecy work on questions everything. So and honestly, next week I'm going to do one that's close to my heart and has been, and something I haven't talked about publicly ever. So that'll be next week. But yeah, I want to start doing that kind of stuff on that channel as well to get that out there, because people need to hear a lot of this stuff. They really do. And there is a fight right now, honestly, but with, again, it goes back to worldview. There is a worldview fight happening, and people are finally seeing it, and that's why things are looking weird, right? You're like, why would people believe that you could do certain things to kids and that's okay? Why would all this stuff? It's worldview. That's a fight over worldview. And it's weird when you see people who shouldn't necessarily be getting along are like, no, we need to sync up here because there's a bigger issue here. And what I find is that this fight over the worldview that we're seeing writ large, yes, the dark will always become darker. That means the light becomes lighter. And the thing is that creates the contrast. And a lot of the polarization that we're seeing is because the people who maybe would be okay with gray because it's more comfortable are going to move towards the light because they're starting to see how dark is. And they're like, I need to be further away from that. So as it's the Overton window, right? If this is the middle, right? And you got both sides, as one side, if everything was sort of like there was white over here and maybe a little sliver of black over here, a little sliver of white over here, and everything was, most people are going to be comfortable in the gray. But as that Overton window shifts and it gets darker and darker and darker and darker and darker, by nature, yeah, the middle will grow this way. However, what that also means is as the middle gets pulled to the darker areas, a lot of people who are happy in the gray are going to move towards the light because they don't want that. As the Overton, they were comfortable with the Overton window as it was, but as it shifts, and be like, no, I don't want anything. I don't want any part of that. And that's what we're seeing. And so this is why I keep, saying to y'all, me talking on the internet is, it's something. But y'all, with the people in your lives, you have far more power than you realize. Talk to people. Communicate. Listen to them. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are just, unfortunately, completely brainwashed. Let God handle them. But you can still be a light in their life. Just let God handle them. But so many more people are looking around there saying, what is happening? None of this makes sense. It's because it doesn't. From their worldview, because their worldview is still Christian enough. Like there's still enough leftover Christian impact that they're not willing necessarily to go whole hog on what is insanity. They're not necessarily Christians at all, but their worldview is still Christian enough that they're not necessarily willing to jump off and follow the other, jump off the cliff and follow the other lemmings into damnation, per se, at least immediate damnation. Well, that gives them the opportunity. Now that they can see how bad the bad is, it also gives them a chance to see how good the good can be, and that polarization is useful for us. Because there is I was listening to, in fact, I'll probably talk about this on Questions Everything at some point. There's a guy called, he does a channel called What Do You Meme? He's pretty good. I like him. He's an apologeticist. Apologist? I can never remember the word. Anyway, but one of the things he was talking about is the rise, people like Jordan Peterson who was, I think he was an agnostic initially, or maybe even an atheist. But, I don't think he's a Christian. I still don't think he's necessarily a Christian, but he's definitely moved towards Christianity. And even, Andrew Tate's a Muslim, at least theoretically. But even all these sort of popular figures have started saying, hey, even if you don't believe in Christianity, the things it teaches is true. Joe Rogan, not a Christian by any stretch of the imagination. Even he's starting to say, hey, you know what? Some of these ideas are probably pretty useful. Well, here's the thing. That's also an argument for you to say, guys, oh, my allergies are killing me. The reason Western culture went the way was the only culture that actually started to fight against slavery, because we were. It was the only culture that developed all of this, was because it was just ever so slightly committed to certain ideals from the Bible. Now, here's the thing. If these ideals make your life better, it's because those ideals were created by the being that created you. That's the evidence that the text is accurate. Again, why do I focus so much on creationism and eschatology? Because if the beginning of the book is correct and the end of the book is correct, that means the middle of the book, which is God trying to talk to you and have a relationship with you, that's the important part. That's the part that allows you to I need better antihistamines. That's the part that matters. That's you living your life. That's your eternal soul. So when we see the chaos around us, that is also for his glory. Because we can say, you all agree that this is insanity. You all agree that this is nuts. The reason you think it's nuts is because of this. And this is what allowed the Bible, its teachings, is what allowed us to build a society that does respect individual rights, that respects human life. And the times when our society failed is the times when it didn't live up to those standards. When it didn't say, hey, this is our goal. This is what we need to live up to. That's when it failed. And by the way, that was always the complaint, was that we didn't live up to these standards. More importantly, you can always find the people leading the charge to do these things are pointing away from the Bible. Everyone now thinks of the South as the Bible Belt. Okay. Would you like to see what was happening in the Bible Belt during the slavery era? Not. Let's take all the other stuff. Just how were they treating the Bible? They were removing books and sections from the Bible to give to the slaves because they didn't want them to read it. That's not a very Christian thing to do, right? Christians live by the book. That's the entire point. Particularly Protestants. Protestants, more than anyone, look at the Bible and say, this is how we live our lives. This is the word of God. People who believe in the Bible don't take the books out. You can also see people, particularly those in power during the Civil War, I forget the guy's name, he was advocating about how the Bible made errors in teaching how in the creation of man. Evolution was the hallmark and one of the big pieces that a lot of pro-slavery people used to as a promotion for their system. They said, hey, people of African descent must be inferior to white people because look at what Darwin has taught us. And Darwin was the only one to come up with evolution. He was just the one who popularized it. Other people have been talking about this for that idea for a long time. They said, look, this must be true. The Bible is wrong. It's the same thing that's happening today. God made them male and female. Love your neighbor. And what does love mean? See, this is the other thing, is the changing of they say, oh, well, if you love someone, then you will love everything about them, meaning you will endorse everything, and they're perfect just the way they are. Perfect just the way you are is one of the biggest lies of the modern culture. Little explanation. The Bible teaches that we are fallen creatures. We have to remember that, and we have to grow out of it. We have to work to grow closer to God, because our hearts are evil. When people say I'm perfect just the way I am, it means I don't need self-improvement. I don't need to be better. It puts you at the center of the universe. But when you realize God's the center of the universe, I need to be more like him. I need to be more like his son, Christ Jesus. I need to live up to those standards. I am penitent. I need to humble myself because I am imperfect. Those two mindsets, one leads to happiness. One leads to taking Xanax for the rest of your life and still being miserable. We can use the polarization to show these ideas are better. And the reason they're better is because they were given to us by the person who created all of us and created this world. He knows how it works, and he wants you to live a good and peaceable life. He wants you to be happy. Now, obviously, allergies. Evil exists in the world. We have to fight it. We should fight it. We have an obligation to fight it. We can find joy in that. We should find joy in it. Our pleasure in this life is not the highest goal. We have to remember that, because this is what leads you to do things like Bethel and the prosperity gospel. The idea that having material wealth and material comforts is God's highest calling on your life. That's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Does he want us to live peaceable lives? Yes. Does he want us to live productive lives? Yes. However, we are first and foremost ambassadors of God, of his kingdom. And his kingdom is as much about mercy and love as it is justice. We are not reactive. We're supposed to be proactive in this world. So let's be proactive. Let's allow as crazy as it is, let's just remind ourselves that we were here for a reason. And that craziness allows us opportunities to showcase how good God really is to people who don't know him. And you can do that on the internet, or you can do it in the lives of the people that are around you, the people that you know, the people you haven't even met yet. I think God, when he puts everyone out there, right, and we're all being weighed and measured and assigned and given the rewards for what we've done, I think there's a lot of people on YouTube that are going to be looking around saying, but didn't I do all this stuff? He's like, yeah, you talked into the void for hundreds of hours over your life, and you did some good things here. But these people sat while people wept. They held their hands with the person who was going through pain and helped them through it. They were on the phone with them for hours at a time. They were there showing and being Christ physically in their presence. And I think in a lot of cases, that's going to mean a heck of a lot more. It's easy for us to say, but look, this guy's got 100,000 views on this video. Okay. And maybe that's a value. But the person that no one knows, who sits down and speaks with someone who's going through the worst time of their lives, who's lost, That person whose name no one knows, heaven knows. And heaven's going to smile on that a lot more, I think. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters are the souls. Everything's going to burn. Every monument that's ever been made is going to burn. Our focus needs to be on presenting the gospel to the world. And yes, that does have effects on the world around us. We have responsibilities to this world. We can't just abandon the world. But while we are not abandoning the world and we're living up to our obligations, our God-given obligations to the world, we use those opportunities to showcase why God is real, why the Bible is true. Yes, it would be wonderful if you live a Christian life and you're healthy and you're happy and your theology is right and your body is right and your mind is right. Yeah, wonderful. However, if you're just Christian enough to live a good life, but you're not an actual Christian, then it was worthless. A person who lives a good Christian life does everything right, but never actually meets Christ, never is filled with the Holy Spirit, is in a far worse condition than the sinner who lived a licentious life and converted and actually met Christ on his deathbed. That man is in a much better position with God. And it's very, very easy for someone to watch YouTube videos and think everything's okay. It's harder when there's someone next to you saying, hey, you're saying the right things, but you don't actually know Christ himself. You're talk, but there's walk that needs to happen. Every single one of you on the other side of this screen is probably far more important than me, anyone on YouTube right now. You have the power to change lives. Never, ever lose that perspective. On that note, I'm going to let y'all have the rest of your day back, and I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll have some updates. But like I said, I'll catch y'all, throughout the week on the other channels. So, but we'll start up with Romans once we get back and I'm back to snuff, because I can do shows. I really can, and not particularly feeling well or but this means a lot more to me. So I want to be right with everything before I come to y'all. So love all y'all. Don't forget about Alan. Again, I send it last week of the month. So it would be next week. So again, PayPal, all that, the spiel. But I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks. Love y'all.